Hey guys, it's Megan from JaMonkey.com, and today is my interview with Kaya Scodelario. Just a forewarning, there are some massive spoilers in this interview, so if you don't want to hear them, you should stop listening now. Thanks for watching.
When you get dressed in your costume, how do you feel? Does it make you feel beautiful? And does it give you any more motivation for the scene or stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's something really cool about a corset. It does feel quite empowering, actually, because you have to sit up strong, and you know, the first day is awful. And I'd get my husband to secretly loosen it up at lunchtime so that I could eat pasta. But it is actually, it does feel very strong. And I like that Carina's dress, it isn't perfect. It's actually tattered and old and ripped up and dirty. So that helped me kind of, understand a bit of her backstory. I think this is a dress that she's held on to because it's kind of the only one she has. And she's managed to make it as practical as possible for her. Thank you.
Carina, go ahead. Well, you've experienced a male-dominated cast a lot, especially Maze Runner.
Yeah.
And this one. How was it like in this one? You're basically the only female.
Yeah, I mean, I've been incredibly, I shouldn't say lucky because it should be like that, but the guys have never made me feel like the only woman, especially on Maze Runner, especially with this. They always treat me exactly the same. I've never felt like, I walk on set and they're like, the girl's here, we have to stop farting or talking about... They continue to do that anyway. And I've grown up with guys. A load of my best friends are guys, and I like that energy. I think they can, once they get over you being a woman, it can actually be kind of fun and nice. But yeah, it was interesting. The last two movies have been very male-dominated.
So Carina comes in as a brand new character in this movie for the franchise, and she's a really strong feminine character, which was actually really refreshing to see. And she can hold her own. What was it like kind of bringing that into, like she said, as a completely kind of male-dominated storyline? Yeah,
I mean, it's always important for me. Every role, I look for a woman that I would have liked to have seen at 13 on the big screen. It's a huge responsibility because people forget in blockbusters that we're not simple. There are multi-layers and there's a lot going on, and she has all of that. She's an orphan, she's a survivor. She's also stubborn and argumentative, and she's also funny and flirty, and there's so much to her. And I'm grateful that they wrote her this way, because usually with a film of this size, unfortunately there isn't time to layer out a character too much because there's so much going on. And I've made a real effort with her to try and hit all those beats. It's something that I hope my son grows up watching and respects in women and understands in women, that we aren't just the Disney princess or the love interest or the damsel in distress, and she's certainly not any of those things.
There were a lot of action stunts in the film. Did you do your own stunts, and if so, how was that like?
I do. I really love to do all that stuff because it's not things you do every day in life. If you get the opportunity to do it, especially when you have a great crew that is going to be safe and it's going to be done the proper way. But I actually injured my shoulder. I didn't break, but what did I do? I popped out something in there on the Black Pearl, of all places. And so afterwards, it was kind of tough. We had about 4 weeks of filming still, so I had to wear a sling in between takes, and I had to go quite easy on it. But I did all the swimming. I swam in the Australian Ocean with the sharks and every other thing that can kill you there. And it's a lot of fun. I love having the opportunity to do that stuff.
The scene where Carina realized that Barbosa was her father when she looked at the tattoo, it was a very emotional scene. What did you tap into in order to bring those emotions forward?
Well, I have a real personal connection with all that. My father lived far away from me, and he'd always say, if you look up at Orion's belt, we're both looking at the same star. Sorry. And he passed away, so it was very easy for me to tap into that moment. And also, getting to work with an actor like Jeffrey, he's when you look in his eyes, he's wonderful. He's just a really giving actor. And for me, a film like Pirates, you don't expect to have that really strong emotional beat, especially as an actor, to get a chance to, in the middle of all this craziness, just kind of go quiet and really focus on that relationship. It was an honor, and I think we both, we really thought it was important, and we wanted to treat it with as much respect as possible.
Do you have any recommendations for kids or even young adults that have dyslexia that are interested in theater? Any tips for them that's helped you?
Well, the biggest thing for me was just knowing that I wasn't the only one. I remember When I was 12 and I was diagnosed, I was really freaked out by it because I didn't understand what it was. For me, it meant I'm dumb. That's all I knew. I thought, well, this just means that I can't ever achieve what other people can. And then they had a poster up in my school saying, Tom Cruise has dyslexia. And that instantly to me was like, oh, okay, well, he's doing all right. Maybe I'll be okay. And it's just about having an open conversation about it. There are great resources out there. My school was wonderful. They gave me extra time on exams. I had a one-to-one teacher in classes for my reading because that's where I really struggle. And just have an open conversation about it and to find support groups and to make sure that the school also, understand what it is, because there's a lot of, it's kind of a taboo subject. We don't really know much about it. So the more we can discuss and the more resources we can bring into schools, I think the better.
If there are more movies in this franchise, what would you like to see from your character's future?
I'd really like to see her exploring her love of the stars and astronomy and going out to the ocean and also this new identity that she has. She's the daughter of an infamous pirate, and I think that's it'll be cool to see whether she takes that on or not, what she does with that new kind of new mission in life.
Carina and Jack Sparrow have a lot of fun scenes together. What was it like filming with Johnny?
It's wonderful. I mean, when you watch the movie, you get to see the one take that's selected. We get to see the 55 other ones that he comes up with on the spot. And he's just a genius. He really is. There's a reason why he's so successful, and he's good at what he does. And his improvisation is just... my first day on set with him, I had to be really serious in the scene. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed. I was like, I'm going to get fired. There's no way they're going to put up with me. He just brings it every single time.
Speaking of laughing and multiple takes, how many takes did you do for the I am a horologist part?
Oh, so many. That was really fun because by then I love the guys that play the pirates. Adam Brown, Danny Kieran, Stephen Graham. They're such great guys. And we had a real good friendship before that. So we kind of thought, let's just play with this. Let's just go into it and did it a few different ways, a few different reactions, and every time was just brilliant. They really, that's their scene.
My scene too.
Yay! Cool.
Did you have to do, you in the movie, you know a lot about astronomy. Did you do any studying or any background for that before you did the film?
Yeah, I did some basic stuff. Unfortunately, I had about 3 weeks between being cast and then moving my life to Australia for 6 months and learning lines. And with my dyslexia, it takes me a lot longer to learn a script. So I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to kind of really research it. I made sure that I was comfortable with the timepiece that I have to use. I made sure I knew how that worked and all the ins and outs of it. But since promoting it, it's something that I feel like now I'd actually really like to get into a little bit more.
So how'd you go about getting the role? What was that process like?
I heard about it years ago, maybe 4 years ago. They had a first draft of the script, and the character was 2 characters. So they still hadn't really decided what they wanted to do with her. And then it came back around a couple of years later, and I was shooting in Albuquerque with my Maze Runner guys. And I had to do a self-tape, and I didn't have enough time, so I was like, boys, please help me. And I had Thomas Brody Sangster playing Jack Sparrow, and just all the Maze Runner boys doing this audition tape for me, which is really sweet of them. And then I flew to Los Angeles to meet with Brenton, and we sat down and we did a chemistry read, and we just got on really well. He's a really nice guy, he's a nice kid, and as an actor, we kind of bounced off each other, and we really enjoyed fleshing out the scene, working out what we wanted to do with it, and it went from there.
So you spoke about Johnny Depp improvising and you having to work with it. How much input do you have into your character in terms of improvisation?
With this, the words are kind of always great. What's on the page is always the best thing possible because we have these incredible writers that know what works for these movies. But I am very instinctual, and that's how I like to work. I like to improvise, and I like to make sure that the dialogue fits my voice and my character's voice. And they were really great about it. The directors were really open. Every morning we'd sit down, run through what we were going to do for the day. They'd ask if I had any issues with any of the dialogue, if there's anything I felt would work better. There was a day where Johnny actually came into my trailer beforehand and reworked an entire scene with me, which I was amazed at. They still do let you have that creative freedom.
What do you want the takeaway to be from the film?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. What is your hope that people take away from the film?
I hope that they understand that this is an adventure for the whole family, and it's something that should be seen on the big screen in the best technology possible. We spent 6 months making this and 2 years in post-production for a reason. You know, that's how it should be seen, and that's how the whole family will enjoy it at its best.
Sorry. Now after having, really gotten into role and having become a mother since the movie and everything, where would you like to see your character go in the pilot world for your son in this movie, and as your character progresses?
I'd just like him to be a bit more interested in it. I took him to a screening and bought the little baby headphones, and he just looked at his feet the whole time. And I was like, Mummy's up there. And he was like, no, toes. So I just hope by the time we do the next one that he'll actually interact with it a bit more. No, I think I'd like to. I think he'd like to see Mummy wielding a sword and getting to do some more actiony stuff. I think that would be really cool.
What was your favorite Disney classic movie?
I was always obsessed with the Dalmatians. I don't know why. I loved 101 Dalmatians, and I actually had a Dalmatian-themed bedroom growing up. My poor mother had to paint like white walls and black splotches everywhere. I've always loved the animated Dalmatians movie, and then also the live action. I think was really, really good. I've always liked that.
We have time for one last question.
I've read some interviews of the Maze Runner interviews that y'all had a lot of fun on set and that everybody was kind of cutting up. Dylan O'Brien always making jokes every night. Was this set like that, or?
Yeah, I mean, with the Maze Runner boys, we're family, so we can kind of push the boundary a little bit more. The jokes are a bit dirtier and a bit riskier, and we have that kind of connection where no one will get offended. We can just kind of say anything. With this, I didn't really want to push the boundary with Johnny Depp too much. Play it safe. But no, it was a lot of fun. But there's also, Maze Runner we shot for a relative small budget for what it is and in a very short amount of time. But this kind of, you have a responsibility to make sure the work is the important thing. So I think we were all very focused and we wanted to finish our days and do the best we possibly could. But there were definitely moments of fun in between.
Make sure you subscribe so you check out more interviews from the cast.